Welcome back to the Proximity is Power podcast. We got Tanner Litchfield in the house today. Tanner, thanks for coming on, bro.
Dude, of course.
How you been?
I've been so good.
Good, dude. A little bio on Tanner before we get started. Tanner has been in the real estate investing, real estate agent world for the last 7 years. He's actually was a guest on the Bigger Pockets podcast, which if you know anything about real estate investing or real estate in general, Bigger Pockets is like the number one biggest podcast in the world on that. So he was a guest on that show, and then also the David Green show, who David Green was the co-host of Bigger Pockets for years, and he's a stud. So super impressive. In 2023, Tanner sold $17 million worth of real estate. Super impressive. He's also the host of the Hive investment community, which is a community here in Utah that teaches people how to invest in real estate. Right now, he personally owns 13 properties himself. He's also, which one thing I think is super cool, he's invested over 6 figures into personal development, learning about real estate. So that's so sick. And he's also married with one baby girl. She's 2 months old. So that's freaking awesome. Dude, I'm excited, man.
I'm excited. Thanks for the intro, dude.
Let's get into it. So Tanner, I met you from, well, it's funny because we went to InvestorCon. We met at InvestorCon a couple months ago with Brody Fawcett in Provo, and we just kind of connected. We had both paid the VIP ticket and then went to dinner with all the guests that spoke, and then hung out with Brendan and at Dave Allred's house the next day.
What a day, dude. That was freaking sick.
So sick. The mastermind, everything. And then we also just recently crossed paths again because we both joined Jimmy's walk group. Mm-hmm. Group 6, baby. And we were like, we met in Moab, and I'm like, I swear you look familiar.
You didn't even remember me, dude.
Dude, I did, but
you're bad with faces.
I was like, wait, how do I know you? And then, so here we are.
There we go. Full circle, baby.
It's awesome. Well, sweet, man. Just diving into things, what's your background for those people that haven't met you before?
Yeah, so I started right out of college in the tech sales world. I actually wanted to be a dentist before that. How can I make good money for my family and live a chill life? And the person in my life was a good family friend. I thought his life was perfect. Like, he had this sick cabin that we would go to in Washington. He had a big family, and he had a ton of like free time, it felt like, and he was a dentist or an endodontist. And as part of my college studies, I had to interview him because that was my career path, and he was like, don't do it. It's not worth it. People hate going to the dentist. It's not worth it. It's not a happy environment. So I'm like, dang, well, now I'm a sophomore in college. Don't want to be a dentist anymore because the person I thought I wanted to be career-wise is like, don't do it. So then I started researching, like, how can I grow, provide for my family financially, and sales is what I first dove into in the tech space. But real estate was really simultaneous in that, but I wanted to make an active income and invest in real estate. That was my game plan.
Heck yeah.
So
wow. Yeah. So you grew up thinking you want to be a dentist, interview your hero, and he's like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Do something else.
Exactly.
And then you get into sales.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that don't know, sales is the highest paid profession on the planet. Like, and you have control over your calendar. You have control, like, of so many things. You have control over your income, and it's a really cool profession to get into. So you grew up in Washington.
Yep, Seattle area.
How was childhood for you?
It was great.
What kept you busy when you were a kid?
I was big into sports. I think that's something that we've chatted about. I played football and basketball, like, in high school. So that was a big part of my life. I was a social guy. I was having friends over as often as I could, probably a little bit too dependent on my buddies, my homies, but like, that was my life. And I have very, very little to complain about my childhood, in my opinion. So
did you work jobs, or were you entrepreneurial at all growing up?
So my grandpa and my dad have a business that sells technology to school districts. So they're like a middleman. They'll sell like HP computers to school districts.
Cool.
And so I like would work summers in their warehouse, and that was what work looked like to me. Very like grunt tasks, just like unboxing for 8 hours straight.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's what work looked like for me.
Learn some good work ethic there, some discipline.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So you go to college and you're studying to be a dentist, and then that gets derailed. And then you immediately think, you research, you get into sales. So what was your first sales job?
So it was in a small tech startup called List Reports out of Lehigh, actually, because this was right out of, well, I should rewind. I tried doing one of those financial advisor internships at Northwestern Mutual, and I hated it. So then I'd say like my first real job was that tech startup called List Reports. But honestly, as soon as I like deviated from dentistry, I would honestly say that's when my real estate career started, because that's when I was like bigger pockets every single day, reading books, just like infatuated with the concept. And the goal, the mentality was, I'm going to make money in sales, put it in real estate. So
Did you have anyone in your life that had invested in real estate, or what got you interested in real estate investing?
Yeah. So my dad had a couple rentals, just like single family. He would never call himself a real estate investor. It was just like, he has a couple rentals set aside, and like, I didn't really pay much attention to that, but psychologically, I think that had a huge influence, because he would bring us, we would help clean, like he self-managed them. There were some like wild stories too of like human feces in this cooler that we had to like, anyways, I could go on, but like somehow I still was intrigued by the concept. So yeah, he had a couple like single family rentals that he bought through the years and just set aside and self-manage those. So I think that's the earliest concept of like investing in real estate. But it's not like I could go to him and talk about cash on cash return. That was not his lens. He didn't pretend to know that world. So it was really podcasts, and then what turned to Facebook groups that I started learning from. And that's like, I met my first mentor. His name's Scotty, one of the most interesting people, my favorite people in the world. And then he introduced me to Thach, who was like...
Thach Nguyen, everybody.
Yeah, he's freaking stud. So
he's a goat.
Yeah.
Go follow Thach on Instagram, and you'll learn a lot fast from Thach's reels and content.
Yeah.
He's really good.
He's a gangster.
So you started learning from Thach. Heck yeah. So you get off the dentist track, and then how soon do you become a real estate agent?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
So you go try a bunch of sales jobs. Don't love it, I'm guessing.
So yeah, but that's the agent world. It could have been 3 years. Like my time clock, I should probably nail these down so that when I tell my story, I have it down. But like it was never a real estate agent. It was always like investor was what I called myself. A wholesaler is more fitting than an agent, because I've only called myself an agent for 2 years. That was never my world. But I was finding deals for investors while I had my first tech job. So I was out there like searching for the best deals and then selling them to these other investors and taking a fee, simultaneously with tech. So,
wow. And then what year did you buy your first deal? You remember?
It was right during COVID. So 2020.
Tell us about it.
This one was in Moses Lake, Washington. So at the time, in all my research, Seattle's super expensive, especially to buy more than one unit. So to get my feet wet, I went to the eastern part of Washington and a town called Moses Lake, and I bought a fourplex for $345,000, which you couldn't do that in the Seattle area. Cash flowed super well. They had a good job market, big agriculture, and some massive factories. And so that was my first investment. And it turned out well, very turnkey. I still haven't walked that property to this day. Never been on the inside. I had an inspection report.
You still own it?
Yeah, I still own it.
Heck yeah.
I don't know how much longer I will. There's some sewer issues in that part of Moses Lake.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still own that one. And then my second one, that's where real estate investing is easy. And then I went to my second one where there was a rehab involved, and then it was a disaster. I learned quickly that I have no idea how to handle construction in general. So,
wow. And then you just got hooked on real estate.
yeah.
Heck yeah. Dude, it's such a good path too. Like, I feel like in the world, like as a man, you really got to provide, right? And to provide, there's really two skill sets. There's the skill of earning money and the skill of turning your money into more money.
100%.
Right? Two different skill sets. And yeah, first step is go find a good high paying job or go start a business that can generate, profits. And then the other skill, once you learn that, is to use that money to either buy real estate, invest in stocks or, private lending, private equity, crypto. There's so many different things. But really, what I love about your story is like you got extremely educated. So tell us about that. So you're working in sales and then you start wholesaling deals, which for those of you that don't know what wholesaling is, basically Tanner would find deals off market. So like convince people or buy properties, tie up properties. You could probably explain this better than I could, but you basically tie up properties at a price and then sell it to an investor at a higher price.
You nailed it. Yep. Good job, Gage. I love it.
That out there. So you were doing that and then you started buying your own properties. And then when did you become an agent then? Like
when I moved to Utah.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I was that guy talking crap on agents forever because in the investor world, it's almost like they coincide, like they clash. I don't think it needs to be that way, but that's how it kind of is. And so I never thought I would be an agent. And, but like, that's part of the reason I dove into it. Like if I can be an agent that genuinely cares about getting people a good deal, that genuinely cares about their best interest, doesn't have commission breath, because I sell more than 4 houses a year. And that was like my passion towards it. And so that's where I like combine this investor agent world, and my career took a huge leap when I did that. So it's been a fun little niche.
So you've been in Washington for a while and you're buying properties and working, and then what brings you to Utah?
Yeah, honestly, the wife.
So you get married in Seattle?
Yep. No. So met my wife. I went to Utah Valley University, met my wife, took her back to Seattle because that's where I thought that's where my roots were. Yeah. And I was working for the family business too. I realized like my ceiling was like cut short. Like I didn't see like there's cousins involved. So I just didn't feel like I could grow to where I wanted to there. And working with family is working with family in general. So I left the family business, worked for another tech sales company. And then around then, my wife just like, she hated Seattle, the gloominess. Also, we were figuring out marriage. Like marriage is freaking tough. And
Big
it's
transition.
Yeah. It's an active approach, and we were learning that. We got married young, and so there was a lot of moving parts. And when it came down to it, her being closer to her family meant a big deal for our marriage. And that was a sacrifice that I knew that I could make and was willing to. My wife's a little bit more introverted. I'm a little bit more extroverted. I can go meet friends and network wherever I felt like. And so that's what I did. And so I pretty much started over in Utah like 2 years ago, almost exactly.
Wow.
So
that's awesome of you, first of all, like as a husband, like to understand her needs and to be willing to make that sacrifice, even though your home was Seattle.
Dude, it was tough. Like, yeah, I won't lie. Like it was I mean, I had Thach in my pocket. I had these other mentors.
Thach is in Washington too. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, it was tough. Like I felt like I had what I needed to grow.
Yeah.
But that's where I like family is very, very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean,
I heard a quote that other day that said so many people that are in business like would say that they're business owners with a family, but like instead you should be a family man with a business.
100%.
And I agree with that so much because at the end of the day, like your family's most important, you know? Really cool. So you moved to Utah beginning of 2023, correct? Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
So almost 2 years ago.
I'm going to write this out, dude. Like timelines.
Sorry, I like seeing.
No, you're good.
Of like, okay, where were you and when?
And mine's the opposite. My brain's like
All
whenever
over.
it was.
Yeah. So you move here, no connections really besides her family, and you become a real estate agent. And that year you sell $17 million worth of real estate with not one lead walking into the state of Utah, basically.
Yeah, I mean, pretty close to that. My brother and my sister lived here. So I had some connections, but yeah, I would say my database was almost zero. Like out of that 17 million, almost zero of it was family and friends. Maybe a deal or two here. My brother bought a house, so that's probably the only one. But besides that, like, yeah, I was in the trenches, and I think that was huge for my business though, because that hunger, bro, like when you're trying to start over and you have that provider sense in your brain, you'll figure it out. And in my head, if you're making a certain amount of money before and you have a certain amount of expenses, I said, if I don't make this much money, I won't be able to provide for my family. And that's a scary statement. Like that's a freaking scary statement. So, I mean, maybe scary is not the word, but it motivated the hell out of me. And so I set these parameters. If I want to do this, my daily habits need to be X. And if I didn't hit my daily habits, I don't care enough about my family to hit this habit. Wow. I mean, that's really what it came down to.
That's so cool.
Like, yeah.
I heard something the other day that said, like humans only make changes in their life from either inspiration or desperation. And like sometimes the best motivation in the world is just like you're back against the wall and it's like out of pure desperation to make it happen. Dude. Cause like for me too, dude, like I remember my first summer selling, looking at my bank account a couple weeks in and seeing $30 in there. And I'm like, and I had the next paycheck was tomorrow, but I had like no money coming from this next paycheck because I was sucking. Yeah. And I'm like, I either got to figure this out or I'm literally going to be homeless. Like I'm literally, like I called my dad and tried to quit. And he's like, you're not coming home. So I'm like, I'm literally homeless. I'll have to sleep on a buddy's couch. Like I got to figure this out.
I love that.
And out of that, I made new commitments, new habits. Like I'd work the hours. I'd train every day. I kept a positive mindset and just controlled what I could. And out of that, things started happening. And I started
look where you are now, dude.
And thank goodness I didn't quit and didn't give up and had that drive from desperation. And also parents that like let me fall on my face, let me go through that.
Yes.
Because if they would have just taken that from me, where would I be,
Dude, 100%. Yeah. I think that's one thing I freaking love about my parents is like I am no way rags to riches. Like grew up in a suburban area. Like my parents, we were very comfortable. But my dad and my mom, like there were no free handouts. I worked my butt off. And like that helped shape me to who I am today. And even like I want to rewind to when I came to Utah and my mentality, part of my hunger was providing for my family. Part of my hunger was also, I had failed in real estate before. I went full-time as a wholesaler in between some of these tech jobs. And I was 40 grand in credit card debt, trying to find a way to be a full-time wholesaler. So this really felt like desperation from a lot of point of views. Like I carried myself, my identity as a real estate expert. And if I failed this go around, then my whole identity was at risk. Right. And that meant a lot to me. Like whether I value significance, which I probably I know I do. So that world with providing for my family and being in a new environment where I have to prove myself, like I almost had zero option but to succeed, or else I was going to be like even more rock bottom than I thought it was.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was the best thing for you, probably.
Yeah, 100%.
At the time, you're like, holy crap, like, why is this not happening to me? Why do I have to move to Utah? Why do I have to leave all my mentors? Like, and then now you're like, that was the best thing that could happen. And you probably grew a ton.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Dude, cool. So you've been in Utah 2 years now, pretty much. I guess what kind of made you successful as an agent? Because you see so many agents get their license and then, by the end of the year, don't even renew it. They don't even sell one property, and you sold a bunch. So I guess what helped you succeed as an agent?
Yeah, I mean, I think I go back to those daily habits. Like my rule and my habit was talk to 20 people about real estate every single day. That's not like an outreach. That's like a full conversation. And so
like on the phones specifically?
Yeah, on the phones, social media.
Okay.
We call them the 3 legs of your stool, right? Like you find 3 prospecting methods that you want to focus on. There's a million ways to prospect. Mine were cold calling, social media, and like open houses, whatever it was, right? And so however I needed to create those 20 conversations, it was going to happen. And so that's when I talk to new agents, it's sales. I came from a tech sales background. I knew how to manage a pipeline. And that's what I tell these agents, like talk to 20 people a day, every single day, or 5 days a week, right? And then talk to me in 60 days. If you can't do that, like you're in the wrong industry.
Right.
Like you can't cheat the ground. Like people think they're just going to call them, hey, you're a licensed agent now? You want to buy a house?
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, like no, it's not that world.
You gotta get after it every day. I love that. It's the same thing in like door-to-door sales. Like I tell all my guys, like go talk to 60 people a day and do the best pitch at every door. And that's what Jimmy says. Learn what to say and then say it all day. Like that's his quote, you know? Awesome. And then, so I know a lot of people listening probably want to get into real estate, invest in real estate. What would you tell them to do if they wanted to invest in real estate?
Lower your expenses, increase your income.
Why?
Because if you don't have that, I treat my personal life like a business. And I think everyone should do that. You have a profit loss. If your expenses are near or above even in America's society with credit cards, you're not going to be able to invest. Like it's a simple concept, but it's hard for people to rack their brain around that. So like if you want to invest, lower your expenses, find ways to increase your income, and then invest the difference. So that's been my mentality. And when I say invest the difference, for me at the beginning, it wasn't buying rentals. It was throwing my money in like stocks, right? And luckily it was during one of the best economies in the last 100 years. And so even the stock market was pumping. So it helped me deviate that. But I think whether it's real estate or whether it's stocks, my mentality is invest in assets and as early and often as possible. And so whether it's stocks, whether it's real estate, that's my mentality.
No, it's huge. Your number one wealth building tool is your income, you know, and like the bigger your income is, the more you can invest. So like first step, I love that you said that, like your first step you should, if you want to invest in anything, is go learn how to make more money.
Yep.
Go learn how to be more valuable in the marketplace to your employer. Go learn more skills. Go learn more valuable skills that pay higher dollar amounts.
Yeah.
Because if you can do that, you're going to have so much more money to invest and to play with. And also like you can take bigger and better risks because you're not, if that deal falls, you still have this one, this one, this one, this one, or all this money coming in every month or every
100%.
year, right? And then I guess right now, like you're big in creative finance deals, and right now, like in 2025, it's 2025 now.
That's wild.
That's wild. Interest rates have been high for the last year-ish, 2 years. Back in 2020, they were like sub 3%, crazy. So a lot of deals back then cash flowed really well, just interest rates being low, and then the housing market it was at its peak, but nothing like it is today. But fast forward to 2025, like house prices in Utah and across America are like the highest they've ever been. Plus, it's a high interest rate environment. And so housing affordability is like at an all-time low. So like, I guess what advice do you have for someone that wants to invest in real estate, has learned more skills to make more money, has a good substantial income, and they want to get in real estate and buy real estate in Utah?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, to me, finding deals is absolutely crucial, whether it's creative finance, whether it's a normal cash purchase, right? Like 99.9% of deals are terrible, absolutely terrible. So it's about finding that 0.1%. And if you have time, then learn the frameworks on how to find these deals. If you don't, find resources like myself. Like I do this 24/7, finding deals. That's how I make my money. Like that 17 million, a large portion of that was finding deals for investors. I'm like a wholesaler with a license, you could call it. But there's no sugarcoating that. Finding the deals is the most important part. If you have the capital and you want to find the deals, and if you have the time, I recommend you do it, because you're going to save a ton of money doing it. But if you don't have the time and like the intention to devote this, because it's not like take 2 hours here once a week. It's, you got to be up to trends. You got to know contracts. You got to understand the strategies, what loan types you can take. Like, it's pretty intricate world in the creative finance space specifically. So either having a resource or dedicating the time to learn it.
Huge.
Yeah.
No, I agree 100%. And for those of you that aren't familiar with real estate, like there's two forms of financing when you purchase a property. Well, you could pay it, you could buy in cash, you could do traditional financing, which is just getting a loan from a bank, and then there's creative financing, which is doing some other type of financing that isn't through a bank. So either the seller, finances you the property, or you get outside lending for the property, or get investors to help fund the property and pay them back. That's what creative finance is. And there are creative finance deals out there, but you just have to learn the skill of how to find them and how to negotiate them. A good place to start if you wanted to get into creative finance, Brandon Turner's book, Zero or No Money Down, How to Buy Real Estate with Zero or No Money Down. Brandon Turner, that's a great place to start. Or just find a realtor that knows how to find these deals, like creative finance deals, like Tanner. That's what Tanner specializes in. I have a buddy that also specializes in that, and will just send me all the deals that are listings that in the description offer seller finance. So there's a lot of options, but I guess the theme that we're trying to say is like, get educated. Like, get educated to learn the skills of making money. Get educated learning the skills of making your money make money. Yeah. Because it's a two-part thing.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that, because Gage, this is something that we talked about too, like at the Watt group. Before, my mentality, and this is partly like how I was raised, is in a conservative environment, it's always about save, save, save. So when I see this graph, like if your expenses are here and it's this bar graph and your income is here, I spent so much energy trying to lower my expenses to increase that margin. Whereas now my mentality is keep these in check, but you don't need to spend so much energy there. Instead, spend the energy increasing this. In your life, it will feel so much more like smooth, because you're not like nickel and diming everything and stressing about it, but you're growing as a human being while increasing your income. So that's really my mentality now. And that we're both that's why we invest in ourselves. That's why we are in these groups. So
no, what Tanner just said, go rewind that and listen to it again, because it's so key. Like at the beginning, like 6-7 years of my career, once I started making decent money, I was the penny pincher. I was the guy that wore the same clothes since high school. I was the guy that didn't move out of my parents' house. I was the guy that drove a crap car that barely even worked. Like I literally lived on less than like $800 a month. Like I didn't spend any money eating out. Like this is how I looked at spending money back then. Like a dollar spent today cost me really $30 in the future had I invested it. So like any purchase I was thinking about making, I literally multiplied by 30 or 20 to see what the true value was. But that's a good place to start, I'd say. But like once you start making like, I'd say 6 figures or more, like really just focusing, your time, like Tanner said, is way better spent learning how to go make an extra $100,000 this year than trying to save an extra $100,000 this year. And we're not saying be extravagant. Like don't freaking start spending 50 grand a month on stupid stuff. But like right now in my life, I'm spending more money than I ever have, but I don't care because I'm making more money than I ever have. And my energy is way better spent focusing on making more money than worrying about the $1,000 DoorDash bill that we have in a month. Like, does that make sense?
100%.
No, dude, it's such a key principle, and I'm like, that's new for me. And also like, because every expense, like DoorDash, for example, is an investment in time too. Like, I'd rather have my wife get DoorDash while she's pregnant than me go to the freaking aubergine and American Fork and try back. And that's like an hour of my time. My time's way better spent doing other high income activities than all the crap that I could pay someone a lower dollar amount to do.
100%. And I'll add on that too. Like everyone has their own value buckets. Like I hate DoorDash because my food's always cold and I've had a bad experience, but I will spend a ton of money on travel or my own education that we share that interest. Everyone has their own value buckets. Here's where I draw the line, because if you completely ignore your expenses, then it's going to start like the lifestyle inflation will catch up to you no matter what. So my mentality and my balance is once a year, I do a budgeting session with my wife on this is around what we're trying to spend here. This is around what we're trying to spend here. Entertainment, date night, clothes, home decor. And you can feel if you're out spending that and then you just try and get yourself back in check, it's way less energy. Whereas if you go to Rocket Money once a week and you're trying to like allocate by penny on where you're spending, like that's the energy that I don't want. To me, that's a negative emotion. Whereas the positive emotion is how can I better myself too? So it's not like I'm saying like, just ignore expenses, but like you can still control it, right? And spend your energy elsewhere. No,
I love that. And Darren Hardy always says like what gets measured gets improved. Like I think you should have a tool to measure your income year by year, your month by month. You should have a system that works for you to measure your expenses in categories so you know where you're at and you're not. Because like even still like we're spending more, but like I'm tracking it. Like I know exactly where we're at, and we're still like spending less than 10% of what we make. Like it's such a small fraction, but like like I'd say track it if you're not already, and just know where you're at and know and have goals in different categories. For sure. Dude, I guess you and I talk about this a lot, and where we met both times, you meet someone once, where we crossed paths was investing in ourselves. So like, I guess, why do you see the value in investing in yourself, and why do you do it?
Yeah. Like I'll say number one, my personality type, I feel like I have to be improving, or like I get anxious. I don't feel like confident so there's one aspect to it where like my personality type, I feel like I always have to be growing. Like sometimes I wish like I'm grateful for the personality that I have, but sometimes I wish I could just be that guy that just like hangs out and just like
chill,
isn't stressed about like the growth mentality. But like that's just who I am. Like so that's definitely like a part of it is like my personality type.
Well, it's like Grant Cardone says, be obsessed or be average.
Yeah,
and
100%.
I way rather be obsessed.
Yeah,
and like always thinking about my goals than just average and just able to relax and chill all the time, you know?
Yeah. But if those guys are happy, like it's whatever makes you happy, and growth makes me happy. So that's like the aspect to it. But I mean, going back to what we said, like increasing your income, people talk bad about money for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it's insecurity. Sometimes it's like money controls the world, which there's a lot of negative aspects to money, but if you can make enough money to provide enough freedom for your family to do what you want and spend more time with them, like money does mean a lot in today's world. And like I do have a strong desire to make more money. I am money hungry, and that's something that motivates me. And so if I invest time in myself, if I invest capital into myself, then I've seen an ROI for the last 5 years. And so I'm going to continue doing it, because when I'm 45, I don't want to be a slave to a job. I don't want to be a slave to a business. I want to have the freedom, option, choice. That's what Thach always says, freedom, option, choice. So yeah, it's just painting a picture of what I want my life to be like. So
bars. So for you, personal development, investing in yourself is really just growing, helping you always get better, sharpen the saw, right?
Yeah.
Like, and Tony says it's like, you're either growing or you're dying, like grow or die. And, you know, and this last year, well, Casey talks about this, like, I need to have some more original ideas, I swear. I'm like freaking Casey bought Tony like spout. But like, you only value something if you invest your time, your money, and your energy on it. And like, for me, like I wanted to start investing more dollars into myself, and like it's made all the difference in the world. Like me and you are here because we invested in Jimmy's walk group, which is, it's a chunk, like it's 18 grand a year, you know, to be in that group. But proximity is power, you know, like you're in a room with people that are also hungry, and like the easiest way to get hungrier or more obsessed in life, like we've been talking about, is hang out with more hungry, obsessed people, because then that will rub off and their goals will inspire you to raise your standards, raise your goals, do things differently maybe. And I agree with you. Like so many people look down on investing in yourself. They look down on someone trying to make more money, or so like I know family members of mine like think I'm obsessed with money, and I'm like, I am obsessed with money 1,000%, and you should be too, because without money I can't be the healthiest I could be. Like to be healthy, like, and it's not just being healthy, like you're happier if you have money. Like to not have to stress about the bills this entire year if I stop working, like that's freedom. Like freedom, like to me, money is freedom to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, at any time, with no financial thought, right? And like at Unleash the Power Within it, Tony Robbins, he talked about how there's like 7 categories in life. There's physical body, emotion and meaning, intimate relationship, time, career and mission, finance, and contribution. And he says, the first one you should start with, the first area of life that you should try to master is finance, like your finances. Because if you don't have financial stability, if you don't have financial freedom, if you don't have money coming in every month without working, like these other areas of your life, it's almost impossible to master without that part of your life mastered. And it's like the thing people don't want to hear, right? They think money is the worst thing ever, but think about it. Like it's so expensive to be healthy in 2025, like to eat organic, eat grass fed, eat at nice, healthy restaurants, right?
Yeah,
it's expensive. Gym memberships, plunge memberships, Life Force membership where you get your blood drawn every 3 months. I just signed up for that, and they go through your blood, see where you're at on all these levels, what supplements you need. Expensive.
Yeah,
like a lot of money. So like to be optimal, healthy, costs money. Emotion and meaning, to not have to worry about financial stress, that will take the number one cause of divorce.
That's what I was just going to say.
And depression in life is financial.
100%.
And things are getting more expensive than ever before. So you need to master that to be happy and to feel comfortable. Time. It's so funny when I hear friends say that they don't, I'm obsessed with money, but they're the ones working 50 weeks a year as a slave for no pay, for barely any pay. And I'm like, dude, do you not see how you're a slave to your time? I could take a whole month off and go to Italy next month. And me and my wife just did that, But does that make sense?
100%, yeah.
You only have freedom of time if you have money, and you can do what you want in that time if you have money.
Yeah.
Right? Nice experiences are expensive. Going to jazz courtside, that's expensive. So time, intimate relationship, dude. Women cost money. Guys cost money. Hobbies are expensive. And having no financial stress in that relationship with your spouse, huge.
Dude, yeah. And this is what I'll say too.
Just going on a freaking tangent.
No, you're good. I love it. But the one thing that I'll say is, just to play devil's advocate, is that there are so many negative sides of money too. And this is where, here, I'll dive into that, but
do it.
Money has so many negatives. It's like the necessary evil almost, right? It just depends on what lens you see it at. If money changes the order of your priorities in life, if money replaces family, if money replaces spirituality, that's when it gets out of hand, right? I love money. That's the truth. Gage, you love money, but as we know, it's almost like a drug. And if you can utilize it well, amazing. It can better your life in all these different ways. But if you become addicted and it starts replacing your priorities, I think that's where the bad stigma comes. Amen. And that's where I want to challenge people. It's there's so much negativity on the internet. If you go on any video, even if it's a wholesale or a wholesome type content, you'll see these comments well, blah, blah, blah. Just throw these negative sides to it. And that's to me, investing money in general, there's always a negative lens. But if you see everything from a negative lens, you're going to be hindered in life in general. So that's my soapbox. I just wanted to
No, for sure. I agree with that. I think step one in life, go learn, go master the area of finance.
100%.
And always try to be growing in that area.
Yeah.
But once you have it mastered, don't neglect your family. Yeah. Don't neglect your physical body. Don't neglect how you spend your time, right? Be a steward, and be a good steward of all areas of life, and prioritize all areas of life, and prioritize the best things first, family, right? Yeah. Or health even. Because dude, I know when I have a headache and I'm with family, I want to die.
Yeah.
If you don't have your health, you really can't show up for anyone.
100%.
So no, but I agree with you. I think money is a maximizer. I don't think money is bad or good. Yeah. I think the person that's bad with money, that's bad. Person with money that's good is good. You just become more of who you are.
That's the quote. You're good at naming who the quotes are. I just say quotes that I've heard and I remember.
I should just start saying quotes it was me and not give people credit, because I just be a freaking boom, 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 boom.
Well, honestly, they're probably all tracked back to the Rome gods or something.
For sure.
And then people just do a twist on them. But that's what I was going to say is money makes you more of who you are. We've heard that time and time again. especially in these masterminds where we commit to. And so I like, if you have your priorities in check and you are like passionate towards those, money is one of the best things that can happen in your life. You can contribute more to society. You can donate to causes that you respect, live the healthy life that you talked on, Gage. Like, so.
Amen. And I'm gonna finish my tangent in a second, but like, seriously though, money helps you master every other area of life. Like, it's hard to master other areas of life if you don't have that part of your life mastered. Career and mission. If you don't have enough money to quit your job or to even pursue your mission, because you're a slave to your job because you don't have enough investments that can fund your lifestyle, that sucks, right? And then contribution. Like, you can't give what you don't have.
Nope.
You can't give your knowledge if you aren't free of your time. You can't give to the like money or things to people if you don't have things yourself, right? You can't give what you can't have. Like, you have to fill up your cup first to fill up others, right?
100%.
And like, the people that have mastered financial area of life at the highest level are able to impact and contribute more than anyone else, right?
100%.
And so that, like, to me, that is why I'm still obsessed with growing in that area.
Yeah.
You know?
Which you should. I love it.
And I think too, like, Jim Rohn's a big fan of, like, a big fan of mine. He's dead.
He's on the
big fan of Jim Rohn. But he says don't major in minor things. Mm-hmm. And dudes, I see so many people that want to get ahead financially, but they major in minor things. They major in a sports team. They major in hobbies that could be healthy hobbies, but if they're the major part of your life and they're more of a priority than this or your family or whatever, you're never going to get ahead. You're never going to grow.
Fortnite.
Yeah, Fortnite. Right? Legit. So back to something I wanted to ask you. You're someone that I've noticed like really has heavily leaned into social media. Why is that? And what's your purpose for that?
Yeah, the best way to summarize it, I'm going to go back to Gage in your quotes. Who's that dude? Ryan Pineda was on his podcast.
Myron Golden?
Yes.
That we were talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. He was on stage and he has this quote and he pulls up some analytics and he asks the crowd, like, how many days or how many hours are there in a day? 24 hours, right? Well, if you want to maximize your attention and if you want to maximize your prospecting, maximize your business in general, you need to create more time. And so he had like 17,000 watch hours and whatever time frame it was, right? Much, much more than hours in a day. And that was, I've been in social media for a lot longer than that from other mentors, but I felt like that example was the perfect analogy to show why someone should be in social media, right? You can reach a lot more people. And if you're in a business to where leads are important, it's absolutely insane. Like the ROI, I always talk about the highest ROI is investing in yourself. And then if you're in a self-gen business world, social media is one of the easiest, best ROIs you can see.
Wow.
So I've been posting every day for 4 years now.
Every day for 4 years.
Yeah. And so it's something, I mean, we'll say Thach was probably my first real example of what social media can do. And like, I don't need to be a Thach to still.
He's killing it. Yeah.
Yeah. To monetize from social media.
You're killing it too. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, comparing myself to Thach, I wouldn't say I'm killing it, but I'm trying hard.
Thach is freaking on a new level than
a lot
of people. Yeah,
he's freaking insane. But that's the power of it. You reach more people, and like, if you know 100 people, your opportunities are limited to 100 people. If you know 10,000 people, or they know you and they trust you, you don't have to know them personally. Your opportunities are 10,000 people worth.
Wow.
So you never know what are going to come from those opportunities.
It's huge.
So,
and just thinking about your example, because I made a reel and I just looked at like the watch time. It was like 3 days and like 9 hours. And I'm like, that reel took me an hour to make and it was only a minute long. But like, it's been watched 3 days and 9 hours worth of time. And it's reached like 1 million people, one of my YouTube shorts. So like, it's just crazy, you know, like the amount of leverage and the amount of people that can view something from nothing. So I didn't have 1 million people follow me, but like because the content was good and because people, like the watch time was high, they just kept showing it to more people because all these social media apps, YouTube, you know, they just want the same thing, more people's attention for longer, right? And so if you have a piece of content that people are watching, then they're going to keep boosting that post because it's keeping people on the app longer.
Attention's currency. Like it's literally that. The amount of people that have come to me saying, hey, you don't know who I am, but I trust you. Can you help me find a deal? Can you help me buy a house? Can you help me? It's like, I use this example a lot when I talked last month in a social media panel, and from one connection on LinkedIn, I've only been doing LinkedIn for a year. I made $100,000 from a single connection on LinkedIn.
Wow.
It's wild. Like social media is absolutely wild. You never know when that one connection's going to come to you. And as long as you have the long-term goal in mind, the issue with today's world is everything is seen as needs to happen today. Mm-hmm. Our attention span is what, 3 seconds now? It's like, it's absolutely insane. So if you can outbeat your competition that only has a 3-second attention span and be consistent about things that you know will pay off, that's like my anthem. Social media, I didn't see anything for 2 years. I knew it was going to work eventually. Still posted every single day. Getting 40 views per view, like still posting every single day. Like that's the grind that our world is not used to taking part of because they want instant gratification. But if you can dedicate like that dedication, that discipline, that's where I feel like you can destroy the competition.
For sure.
So
if you're on, like, I think average time on social media in the country right now is like 3 or 4 hours a day, which is nuts. And it's only getting higher. And so like, if you're not on social media, you're not top of mind for people, you know, because even if you have a real estate agent that you like, but they're not on social media, but like you find Tanner who is, and you think that he's more knowledgeable because he's teaching you things that this realtor's never talked about, you might switch agents. Like, so beyond, like, I think about this, like there's a level of how much you consume, but like produce the same, if not more than you're consuming on social media.
Dude, that is one of the truest statements. Like I don't scroll anymore. Like I scroll very, very, very little. The most scrolling I do is I'll go to my TikTok, go to my messages, see the 26 videos that my wife sent me.
For real, right?
And then I leave.
It's a chore freaking watching all your wife's reels for TikTok. It's like for the 30 minutes a day. I'm like, oh my gosh, man.
So that's like really, I get like the laughs and it's funny. Like that's my algorithm now.
Yeah.
But when I go on social media, it's business. Like I'm engaging with people that have thrown stuff on my posts. And I'm doing business from it. So,
and also like you can train your algorithm to show you freaking good, knowledgeable tips.
100%.
Like Alex Hermosi, all of his videos always pop up on my feed, giving me great stuff. Casey Boss, like always on there. Like when I do go on Instagram and just scroll, see what's happening, like it's like amazing, like gold nugget. So you can still consume. If it's educational, and even if it's entertainment, that's fine too, but just make sure your education time is equal, if not more than your entertainment time. It's my challenge to you guys.
I love it. That's a good one.
No, dude, I think social media, like I'd never, like just recently I'm seeing the power, and like even from this podcast I started a year ago, and I already have more recruits just because of the podcast. Like people started following me from other companies and they ended up switching over because they vibed with me and wanted to work with me. and it's already paid off 100x than the investment because of that. And it's just the craziest thing ever. So it's infinite leverage.
Dude, 100%.
You know? I want to talk to you about, like, I feel like you're really good at, like, the balance of life, like balancing different areas of life. I guess, what's your strategy, your personal strategy to balance or prioritize certain things? And what would you tell someone else? Like, how would you tell someone else to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, this is a silent plug for the podcast I'm releasing, right? It's the winning balance. The goal is to interview people that are successful, top in their industry, and talking about how they balance life, specifically family, friends, those type of relationships. So with that being said, I'm still learning it. Like, I wouldn't say I've nailed it by any means, but I think it comes down to, like, intention. When I talk to people that I respect, it's usually because their priorities are in order. Thach always says, like, wealth means absolutely nothing without family. Like, who are you going to spend your money with? So in, like, being raised in my family, the family unit is extremely, extremely important. And that's something my family's done a really good job at. And I don't want to lose that. Like, I've seen what happens with a broken family. I've seen what happens when money replaces relationships. I don't want any of that. I truly crave an abundant life. And without good relationships with family and friends, you won't have that. You'll be chasing happiness. You'll be chasing acceptance. No matter how much money you make, you'll be chasing it. And so that's where I feel. So I guess my answer to that is, like, the intention behind it. That's something that I really strive to be better at, and
just be intentional about prioritizing each area.
Dude, yeah. And I'll tell a funny story about this. Kind of, like, for my intention. I was at the Saratoga Vasa, like, last week, and Manti Te'o was there. And I go up to, like, I'm a firm believer being uncomfortable. That's where you grow. So I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't want to bug him, but I'm like, you know what? If I'm uncomfortable, then I know I got to do it. So,
fortune favors the bold, baby.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I go up to him and I'm chatting with him, kind of telling him a little bit about myself, and tell him, like, where I'm at in life. Like, I just had a brand new baby. I found success in my industry, but I have no idea how to find success as a father because this is brand new to me. So I opened up to him because I know Manti Te'o is, like, a huge, like, family guy, right? And he's been, I mean, he was runner up in the Heisman. So, like, to me, I would love to hear he's found a lot of success, and I would love to hear. And he said to me, while he was just on this flat bench in Vasa, he said, success in any facet of life is the same. It comes down to your intention. And so if you want to be successful at making money, your intentions are aligned with that. If you want to be successful as a father, your intentions need to be aligned with that. So it's like a random golden nugget. I was trying to pitch him on being a guest on the podcast, and he gave me the, go talk to my agent, or here's an email. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, yeah, he's probably not. He's got lined up with Shannon Sharp and all those big guys because he had that big Netflix thing. So he was just giving me the smoke screen. But I mean, I enjoyed the conversation, and
yeah,
I'll see him at the gym and wave to him and just be like, what's up? But that's about where it goes.
Dude, I love that. Like, just be intentional.
Yeah, 100%.
And I love, like, Casey Baugh's weekly planning. Like, go watch that video if you haven't. He has a solo episode on how he does his weekly planning. But basically, he has, like, these 7 or 8 categories of life, and he puts, before he schedules anything in his week, he puts, like, 1 or 2 rocks in each category that would move the needle forward in each of those areas that week. And I think the thing that I struggled with early on is I used to think, like, life balance meant I was spending equal amounts of time in each area. That's not the case at all. It's not about that. It's just like having one or two rocks in each of those areas. Because like the reality is the majority of your life will be spent on work, finance, most likely.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And so,
100%.
because again, you have to master that area to master the other areas of life. And you should always be growing in that area. But just because you spend 8 hours at work doesn't mean you got to come home and spend 8 hours like with your wife and not work out and, you know, neglect all the other areas of life. Doesn't mean that. It just means putting the big rocks first and prioritize things that need to be prioritized and juggle. And it's going to be different. Like maybe in the holiday break, you spend more time with family and less time on work. Like it's just you're going to know, but like going back to what Tanner said, like intention matters and be intentional, have a plan, execute your plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
And just to add to that too, like something that I've pulled from Casey in one of his podcasts is there's never going to be a perfect balance. Like there never will be. He talks about seasons. And that's what I freaking love. As an entrepreneur specifically, seasons are insane.
Huge.
Like I had a month, we closed 10 deals in 1 month. It was the biggest, like things were psychotic. My goal was to be as present with my wife as possible, but it's going to be a lot harder in that season of life versus these winter months when it's a lot slower of a market. That's the time, that's the season to be a lot more present with my family and to almost catch up this cup. So that's something that I pulled from Casey is you're never going to have a perfect balance as an entrepreneur.
And it's going to be ongoing and changing every day, every year.
Exactly.
Every transition in life, like you becoming a dad, you know, marriage.
100%.
Like Tony talks about like, yeah, there's seasons in life, there's seasons in a year, and like different seasons come different things, different challenges, different adversity, and you have to readjust constantly. No, I love that. That's a great point. Cause like, yeah, even like in door to door, like there's the season of selling and then the off season. But like a lot of people think the off season is the off season. Like they are off of work, but it's like, no, like that's like where all the money is made. Like the recruiting, the training, the preparing your reps, the self-education, the conferences, the books, the podcasts, and then you just go execute on everything in the summer, you know? No, huge. I love that. So, and here's another point on that. Like Tony talks about how young men after high school, their number one priority should be career, should be finances. It shouldn't be family time. It shouldn't be, you know, anything else. Mm-hmm. Like it shouldn't be, you know, majoring and being the number one Broncos fan in the country. Like,
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that. It should be like, go master the skill of making money and using that money to make more money. And I don't see that happening in America right now. Like
no.
Men that are graduated are like some of the most lazy, distracted people, and it's not their fault. It's just where society has brought us today, you know?
The culture, yeah. And one thing that I'll add to that too, that I wanted to touch on is like, it's easy for people to see like the viewers and say, oh, these guys are successful. They've never had L's, right? And that's like when we're talking about that phase of life, like when you're young and you're on that, like you say, step one, work on finance and career. I think that's like extremely valuable for people to learn because you have much, much, much less responsibility. Probably the least amount of responsibility in your career. Like high school is not your career, but in your career, this is the time to take risks, to take L's. Like I have lost over $300,000 in L's in real estate. I'm in a high risk investment world. I've made lot more than that, luckily, and that's the world I'm in. But taking those L's early on, I mean, I got married young, but like even like taking those L's before having a kid and before having to buy diapers and have $1,200 a month insurance, like that was extremely valuable to have these lessons and take these risks. That doesn't mean you have to go out and lose $300,000. But like, I think taking risks at that phase of life is absolutely massive. So security feels like it's the way to go. But even if you're a W-2 guy, even if you're an employee, you can still take risks within that world.
For sure.
So maybe it's being bold, talking to your boss. It doesn't matter. Like, that's when you need to take risks. So.
And I remember, graduating high school, and immediately my plan was originally just to, go work as a lifeguard again, because that's what I did in high school. And then, start school in the fall. That was like the easy known path that everyone tells you to go do. Mm-hmm. And I was going to work in school. I was actually going to play football and then work and then go to school. But I instead took the more risky approach and went and did a commission only summer sales gig, because I'm like, high risk, high reward. Like, no money is guaranteed if I go out to Columbus this summer. It's all on me. Like, you got to eat what you kill,
100%.
And, I just remember waking up and I'm like, no one knows they're going to buy pest control from me today. Like, like, if it's meant to be, it is truly up to me. And so it was scary. And I remember like making that jump was scary, but I did it and I trusted myself, and I learned from people that had done it at a high level, copied what they did. And pretty soon I was getting the same results. It's amazing how that can happen.
Dude, 100%.
Right?
But also, like, you were rewarded for going out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's like, our generation wants to feel comfortable all the freaking time. And that's like, talking to Manti too, it's such a small thing. But if I feel myself like, this makes me uncomfortable, but I know there's like a possible good outcome, that should be the click in your brain that says, I need to do this. If you don't want to work out that day, that's like one of the simplest forms, because you're tired, blah, blah, blah. You're like, you want to be comfortable. Working out is good for you. That should click in your brain. And this takes training. This takes like investing in yourself or daily habits. Like, it's not just one day, but if you can shift your brain to say, oh, this makes me uncomfortable, but I know it can help me in my growth, that immediately should tell you, do it now. Do it now. So that
be comfortable being uncomfortable.
100%.
Like
100%.
That's the one thing I've learned from Jimmy, is just stay uncomfortable. Like, a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there.
100%.
Like, you have to, like, it's just like going to the gym, like you said, like lifting weights. It's pain. No pain, no gain, though.
100%.
No pain, no gain. So, we'll wrap up here in a second. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. This has been freaking awesome. Do you believe that proximity is power? And if so, how important has it been to you in your life?
Dude, I mean, it's almost tacky with how much you hear it, but it is so true. Like, your network is your net worth, proximity is power. Like, you hear it all the time, but you don't realize what that means. Like, when I talk about, if your circle of influence is 100 people deep versus 1,000 people deep, your life will absolutely change. Absolutely. So of course, yes. Like,
love that.
It's absolutely insane.
Who were some of your big mentors along the way, and why?
Yeah. I think, like, for sure my dad, like, from an early age, not a real estate investor, wouldn't claim to be, but his sense of finance, like, he definitely taught me like the save world, which I'm now like leaning away from, but like that helped me give a foundation, maybe more like the Dave Ramsey aspect, but it gave me a foundation of finance, which a lot of people don't start with. So that's been crucial in my life. Scotty, Sweet Scotty T is what we call him. He was my first real estate mentor. Absolutely massive. Thach, he's like, has such a massive influence in my life. He knows that because I tell him all the time. But
what would you say, one or two biggest lessons you learned from Thach?
It's really the priorities and family. Like, that's what I've been drawn to the entire time. Like, he's the first person to where I said, you can have it all and still maintain a good relationship with your family.
Dude, because that's cool. Because even watching him on social media, and I followed him. I just found him one day on TikTok and followed him a year ago. And then when you told me you know him, like, that's so sick. But even watching his content, like, you can see him include his family. Like, he talks about his sons and their vending machine businesses and all this stuff. And I'm like, is that just for show? But like, no, like, you've been behind the scenes and you've seen. Because, like, dude, that's the thing is, like, proximity is power, and you should have mentors in every area of life. But the mentors that inspired me the most, the people that I look up to the most, have mastered all areas of life, not just one.
Dude, amen.
Like Alex Hormozy, look up to him. He is like the guy to me, one of them in business. But I don't look up to him in health. I don't look up to him in all these other areas of life. I don't respect, like, it's not that I don't respect. I respect him, and like, he can do whatever the hell he wants. It's his life. But I don't, like, that part, those other parts don't inspire me. Like,
you don't align with that.
Yes, exactly.
Which is completely fine. So that's what I'll say too, is like, Thach has this persona on social media. You would almost seem like he's like outgoing because of his energy levels in his videos. He is an introvert through and through. You get with him and he's like a lot more quiet. He's like very personable. He can have, that's my best way to describe it, is like, he truly cares about people. So like, that family world is not a show. Like, that is through and through who he is.
It's cool.
Like, I've been trying to get him out to Utah for so long, and like, time away from his family, he has like all these national, like, Thach does care about me, but he's so dialed into his time allocation. I don't have as much to offer him. And so I get it. I'm like, dude, like, I'm kind of bugging you, but one day it's going to happen. And so anyways, but he's a freaking genuine human being. The other thing that I'll say about Thach is he cares enough to call you out on your BS. Like, there's been more, like, several times where he'll call me and dig into me. And, like, that shows me more that he truly cares about me and my life, because he doesn't care about my reaction. He literally just genuinely is like, why the hell are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah. And like, wow, I'm just like smiling on the other side of it, because I'm like, this dude who I respect a ton, I thought he was untouchable like before, and now I'm getting this like very, very blunt advice from him that I know will change my life. So he's a good dude.
Dude, I love that, because like, I've seen that like, the mentors and leaders in my life that have influenced me the most don't put up with crap. Like, they hold me to a higher standard than I had for myself at the time. And like, even if I was ignorant to how I was showing up, like, they called me out and they let me see what I didn't see. My wife lets me see what I didn't see, leaders that I worked with. And if you're listening to this and you're a friend, you're a leader, you're a husband, you're a spouse, you're a father, part of being a good leader is holding people to a high standard. Hold your friends to a high standard. If your friend's being a jackass at a party, like, pull him aside and say, dude, you're being a jackass, let's go, or you better shape up.
Yeah.
Like, that's what good friends, good people, good leaders do. And you're not a good friend if you're just buddy and just love them no matter how they're showing up in life and their family and their relationships.
Yeah.
So
extremely surface level. That's like, that's one thing that if I feel a certain way and I care someone, even if it's a negative, like, that's another part of me where if I feel uncomfortable talking to him, but it's for a good purpose, like, my brain says, do it now. And that might scare people, but if this person understands your intentions, they will love you more for it. 100%. So,
but if you're just like calling people out that you don't even like or know personally, that's never gonna work. Like, you have to have the love there, and you have to have the intent to like help them. But if that's not there, you're not gonna get through to them at all. So
I love it.
Good point. What are some of your favorite habits?
Dude, my morning routine means so much to me.
Tell us about it.
Yeah. So, and I'm telling you about it because I have been without it I like with a newborn, it is so hard to get back to it. And like, I crave it so much. So that's like the habit that I'm really, really missing right now that I'm hoping, I can add back soon. But I mean, I wake up at 5:30. I'll go straight to the gym. Now after the gym, I get ready. I get dressed first, and that's important to me because I want to feel like I am in business attire. I'm confident in myself first. And then I do intentional journaling, meditation, and stretch. And so, well, the stretch probably happens before I'm dressed, but you get the gist. Like, to me, those are crucial aspects. I call it winning my day. I have a Excel sheet that I print out that has the required tasks that make me feel like I'm being productive. And 75% of those are done in my morning routine because then I have confidence going into my day. So that's the biggest habit for me is my morning routine because I've already won 75% of my day. I go into the day confident. I go into prospecting confident. And yeah.
I love that. 3, 2, 1 pivot. What are 3 books that have impacted you the most and why? 2 people and 1 quote.
3 books: Atomic Habits, massive; Rich Dad Poor Dad, and Think and Grow Rich. So, I mean,
books.
Yeah, massive books. For the sake of time, I won't dive into all those, but 2 people that have influenced me most probably. From like the business perspective, I'd say Thach and Scotty, my first 2 mentors, to be honest. My dad should probably be in there too, just as a soundboard and someone that I've talked back and forth in business for a really long time. And then 1 quote. Oof, dude, as you've probably seen from this, like, I'm so bad at memorization. And so, like, I have so many quotes that I'll probably butcher. But yeah, like, I feel like Thach, when he talks about like money doesn't mean anything without freedom, option, and choice. And that's what wealth is. That's a driving force in my life. I'm not going to put quotations around it because I'll butcher it, but that's like a concept that I try and live by. So
cool. Last question. If you had the world's attention for like 1 to 2 minutes, what would you want them to know?
Honestly, I'd say that, like, similar to that quote, is true wealth comes from within. Money can get you a lot further, but if you don't have the relationships with your family, if you don't have like the confidence within your own head, then you won't be happy. So I think like mental health in today's world is a huge issue. And there's an active approach that should be associated with mental health, especially in today's world. And if you focus on like within yourself, you will be like so much happier. So,
amen. Where can people find you, Tanner?
I'm the Investor Tanner on Instagram, on YouTube, and so yeah, I'd say those are the 2 main platforms I'm focusing on now. LinkedIn's also one of them, Tanner Litchfield, but the Investor Tanner on YouTube and Instagram.
Heck yeah.
So if you want to learn about creative finance, the investment world, then that's what I post mostly about. So
heck yeah. Dude, this has been awesome. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone else has. So, dude, appreciate you for coming on and the man you are and the person and the impact you're having, dude.
I appreciate you, Gage.
I'm pumped. Like, dude, joining the walk group was literally worth it. Meeting like just you and Kenny alone.
I appreciate
like, actually. So, awesome. Thanks again. And go follow Tanner. And until next time, thanks for listening. Peace.